Hello, my friend. Welcome to your sleep story. My name is Stephen Dalton. I'm an Irish storyteller, and it's my great privilege to be the voice that you listen to as you go to sleep tonight. Tonight we travel to Morocco, to a very long time ago, and to a very special person who worked as a jewel crafter. We'll visit him during the rainy season while he works in his little shop in Marrakech. And in this particular story, which was written by my niece Megan Moore, he will receive an envelope that changes everything for him. I really hope you like it. One small thing, if you'd like to support my work, you can do so on Patreon. The link is below this video. Okay, let's do the relaxation session now, which will take a few minutes before tonight's sleep story. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support of the bed beneath you, or the floor, or whatever you lie upon tonight. And beneath all of that, feel the support of the earth, our home. And as you become aware of that support, that constant support, that enduring, eternal support, allow yourself to soften a little now. Allow yourself to give in to that support. It is there for you. It is holding you. Everything is okay. 9. You are safe. Allow my voice to be an anchor of safety tonight, to be a friend. Know that my voice will only ever take you to safe places, and allow that fact to enable you to feel more relaxed in this moment, to feel more peace in this moment. 8. Feel into your body now. Feel into your tension. Where are you still holding? If you have pain, where do you feel it? Maybe you're holding in your feet, or in your lower legs, or your thighs, or your belly, or your chest, or your hands or arms. Or maybe it's your face. Wherever you may be holding or feeling pain, just become aware of it and see if anything can be let go of now. Seven. The day is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. Whatever thoughts you might be having about what has gone before, or whatever thoughts you might be having about what is to come, those thoughts do not serve you now. They are just a symptom of being human. So don't fight them, but see them. Notice them arrive and gently watch them leave, like leaves on a moonlit river, floating past, or clouds in a starlit sky. Six. This is your moment. This is your time. You deserve rest. You deserve sleep. We all do. So allow that fact to enable you to let go a little more now, to sink into this moment a little more now. Five. Perhaps allow yourself to feel a little gratitude now. Gratitude for the peace and safety of this moment. Gratitude for the simple things, the shelter you have, the ones you love. 4. Peace lives within you. It is your constant friend. It is just waiting to be found, waiting to be seen, waiting to be felt. See if you can feel it tonight. 3. Begin to engage with your imagination now. Begin to see the rainy streets of Marrakech a long, long time ago, and a little light coming from a little room, and in there a man working with great concentration, a kind and good man, caring about his craft. 2. Feel into your body one more time now. Notice where the tension still is, or where you're holding still. Your body has worked hard for you today. It's time to give it rest. And one. Completely letting go now. As I tell you tonight's sleep story. Rain pelted against the windows of a small jewel crafting studio as an older man worked at his desk. The small studio was dimly lit by a lamp which illuminated his work. With steady hands, the man meticulously set a ruby into a gold ring with an elaborate leafy design. This ring was a special order from a client who was planning on gifting it to his wife as they renewed their vows. The jewel crafter wore gloves, careful not to touch the stone with his bare hands, for the stone was imbued with strong emotions and memories from the client, so that when his wife wore it, she would experience the memories and feelings fused into the gemstone. Hassan the jewel crafter was more than just a skilled craftsman. He was an artist, and gemstones were his medium, and precious metals were his canvas. Everything he created was truly unique, exquisite, and completely one of a kind. Some of his pieces were so elaborate and intricate that they took months to complete. Word quickly spread across the globe of his remarkable work, and soon he had a waiting list that spanned over a decade, full of royals, nobles, and wealthy merchants, insisting on having something crafted by his very special hands. Some say he was a sorcerer, not only because his pieces were unimaginably beautiful, but also because of the emotions the jewelry invoked when worn. Hassan had the unique ability to imbue gemstones with specific memories and feelings from the client, immortalizing them into the jewelry. When he took an order from a client, he had one request: that they write down on paper the memory they would like to have imbued into their jewelry. When they wrote this memory, they needed to feel the emotion they wished to invoke. Then he would take the written memory and burn it in a fire alongside a gemstone, thus forever burning the memory into the stone. When he handled the gemstones, he was very careful to wear gloves, so as not to accidentally see the memory, as it would be an invasion of privacy. Hassan took great care to respect the memories, as they were only to be seen by the client and whoever should wear the finished piece. After completing the ruby ring and packaging it up nicely, Hassan went to his post box to retrieve his mail and send out the order when he happened upon a mysterious letter with no address written on the envelope. Only his name was scrawled hastily across the front, indicating that someone must have personally placed the letter in his post box. Curious, Hassan brought the letter into his studio and carefully broke the seal to open it. Inside the envelope was a neatly folded note and a set of 5 small envelopes, each individually sealed. At the bottom of the main envelope was a simple gold wedding band. Puzzled, Hassan opened the mysterious note in hopes of getting some answers. He quickly realized that the letter was from a father and a husband. It was a plea for help. The note read, "Master Hassan, I know you are a very busy man with very important clients, so I will be brief. I am a humble man. I do not come from wealth or royalty, but I hope you will heed my call for help. I cannot offer you money or goods. I can only offer you solace that your work would save my marriage. You see, my wife has fallen into a deep sadness after all 5 of our children have moved away. Our house, once full of laughter and joy, is now quiet and somber. After this life change, my beloved wife collapsed from heartache, and she has never been the same. The children are in faraway lands, all so busy with their lives that it is extremely difficult for them to visit. Nothing seems to bring my wife joy anymore, and the passion of our love has faded, along with the memories of our children. In each of these envelopes is the happiest memory of our 5 children, each written by my wife. I beg you to create a necklace for my wife with 5 stones, each representing a child. You will also find my wedding band inside this envelope. I ask if you can incorporate it into the necklace. I believe that when she wears it, the emotions invoked will make her whole again. Please, I have tried everything, having spent all of our money, going to every doctor in the land, but none can offer her a cure. I fear that her spirit is fading fast, and this is my last resort. The bottom of the note was signed with the family name, Jawahir, and an address was written. Hassan felt deeply for the author of the letter. It was true. Usually his clients were from nobility and wealth, and his pieces were no cheap feat. However, something tugged at his heart for the family. After some time to himself to think on the matter, he came to a decision. He would do it. Hassan was never motivated by money, but rather by the joy his jewelry brought people. If this piece could save a marriage and restore a mother's spirit, it went against everything he believed in to refuse. However, this would certainly be one of the most elaborate pieces he might ever create. He had created pieces with multiple memories before, but they were usually memories about the same person, and he had never used more than 3 imbued gemstones for one piece. This necklace would contain 5 memories about different people. It would not be an easy task, but he knew he had to try. Hassan went to his cabinet, where he kept his uncut stones locked away. After some deliberation with himself, he picked out 5 different stones to imbue for the necklace. An emerald for growth and renewal, a blue sapphire for mental clarity and wisdom, a purple amethyst for peace and calmness, a pink morganite for love and emotional healing, and a deep red garnet for energy and strength. With renewed energy, Hassan got to work, moving with efficiency as he arranged his workspace. The diamond plates gleamed and shimmered under the warm glow of his lamp, and his faithful faceting machine sat at the ready. Once everything was prepared, according to his preference, he donned his custom magnifying glasses after wiping their lenses clean. One by one, he picked up the stones, rough and random in shape, as he closely examined them under the lamplight. With expertise that only came from years of experience, he evaluated the angles and inclusions within the stones, making small notes in his leather-bound notebook as he went. Finally, he settled on a teardrop shape, a timeless and elegant form that could hold powerful emotion. The steady hum of the faceting machine and the grinding of the gemstones on the diamond plate filled the room. It was a familiar and comforting sound, and the rain outside, just another part of the soundscape. His hands were strong and sure as he worked, as one wrong move could ruin the piece. Hassan took great pride in his precision and exactness. He couldn't stand to create something less than perfect. After the tedious process of cutting each stone, it was time to polish them, a process that Hassan found great satisfaction in, as this is when their true brilliance was revealed. The cloudy surfaces of the stones transformed into dazzling displays of light, which brought out their incredible brilliance. The process made him feel a connection with the stones. It felt as though he was breathing life into the jewel. The days blurred together as Hassan worked tirelessly to complete the request. He took a moment to admire his work thus far. Each teardrop jewel was perfect in shape. Their colors shone brilliantly, even in the dim lighting. They were ready for the next step. Before setting the stones, Hassan prepared the imbuing ritual. He lit incense around the studio and lit candles nearby before setting up the stone vessel that he used for the fire. With gloved hands, he picked up the first letter and the emerald. He carefully wrapped the envelope containing the memory around the gemstone and secured it with a string. After placing it in the stone vessel, he used a candle to ignite the corner of the letter. He watched as the small orange flame spread across the paper, steadily engulfing it with the stone inside. He closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply and absorbing his surroundings. The calming scent of the lavender incense, mixed with the burning aroma of the paper, brought him peace and serenity. He opened his eyes to see the gleam of the emerald peeking out of the ashes as the paper burned away. The neat handwriting from the letter fusing with the gem. Eventually, the fire died out as the paper was reduced to nothing but ash, leaving behind the emerald that shone more brightly now than it had before. It was imbued with the precious memory for eternity. He repeated the process with the remaining letters and stones until each one displayed a unique shine. Beneath its glittering surface, something even more valuable than the gemstone was preserved forever. Hassan opted for gold for the setting, carefully shaping it into an ornate, protective border that secured each teardrop gemstone with elegance. The design was intricate, a filigree of floral motifs that twisted and swirled throughout the piece, showcasing the sheer brilliance of the stones. Finally, for the chain, Hassan placed his focus on the wedding band from the envelope. He examined it in his palm. It was a simple gold band, but the love it represented went beyond words. He carefully melted it down, watching the gold transform from a solid into a malleable liquid, allowing him to shape it into the strong links that would be the foundation of the necklace. Hassan worked tirelessly for days on end. His dedication to the piece unyielding. He stayed well into the night and woke in the early hours of the morning to complete this imperative task. All of his other orders, even those from high-profile clients, were set to the side. This necklace was unlike anything he had ever made. It was a vessel for important memories and was host to an array of positive emotions, all strung together by the unrelenting love of a husband for his wife. When the piece was finally complete, Hassan sat back in his chair to admire his work. It was breathtaking. He could hardly believe that something so exquisite was created by his hands. This necklace was the first of its kind. Each of the 5 stones contained a distinct memory, their brilliance amplified by the gold that held them, all bound onto a single chain forged from unyielding devotion. With gloved hands, he held it gently, like a newborn baby, before placing it in a velvet-lined box. He then wrapped the box in paper and secured it with a ribbon, ready to be presented to its forever home. Hassan went to the address from the letter to hand-deliver the piece. He made his way through town, the rain still falling in this, the rainy season. He passed by colorful houses until he arrived in a neighborhood that he had never been to before. He came across a quaint townhouse, painted in a faded blue. It was in desperate need of maintenance, but it still held a certain charm, with hand-painted flowers adorning the wooden door and the window frames. Hassan knocked on the door and waited, as he heard footsteps on the other side. A tall man answered. His face was hard and stern, but there was a glimmer of something warm deep in his dark eyes. He bore a tired expression, lines etched into the skin around his forehead and eyes. His graying hair was brushed back, but his beard was rough and peppered with age. He assessed Hassan, squinting slightly. "You are the doctor?" he asked, his voice hoarse and worn. "No," Hassan replied, with warmth in his voice. "I am the jewel crafter." He offered a reassuring smile and bowed his head slightly. The man's eyes widened, as though he couldn't believe his eyes. Shock and awe replaced the fatigue he had displayed moments before. He was too stunned to speak, his mouth gaping open as the words failed him. Hassan took a step forward and held up the box with the necklace before filling the stunned silence with his reassuring voice. "I have done what you have asked." The man, who introduced himself as Ismad, thanked Hassan profusely as he welcomed him inside, still in disbelief that Hassan had come at all. The home was warm, with faded wallpaper adorning the walls and creaking floors. It was clearly a well-loved house that had seen many generations of the family. Hassan entered the sitting room to see a woman seated by a window. She was dressed in all black, as if she were a shadow of a person. Her grey hair was loosely gathered up in a bun atop her head, though her posture was straight. It was clear she was bearing the heavy weight of loss. Her gaze was fixed on something outside the window, her thoughts far away. She looked cold, despite the warmness of the room. A fire crackled in the hearth, and a bowl of warm soup sat untouched on a table nearby, steaming softly. Hassan introduced himself, but still, the woman did not look in his direction. Perhaps she thought him another doctor who had come to try and cure her heartache. Ismad approached her and placed a warm, steadying hand on her shoulder. His touch seemed to bring her back to the present. He leaned in and whispered something in her ear. Only then did she appear to process his words, and she blinked and turned her head wearily. Her gaze shifted to Hassan, where he stood with the wrapped box. He immediately felt for her and the weight of her sorrow. He gathered his thoughts and approached her, speaking with a steady voice as he explained why he was there and what her husband had requested of him. Finally, he held out the finely wrapped box and removed the paper to reveal the black velvet case. Hassan opened the lid to unveil the stunning necklace of 5 stones. It instantly became the most brilliant thing in the room, emitting a warm energy that rivaled the fire in the hearth. It sparkled, even in the dim lighting, casting reflections throughout the room. The woman's eyes fell upon the necklace, its glint reflected in her gaze as she stared down at the piece. Her expression softened with wonder as she reached out and stroked the necklace with a pale hand. Her thin fingers floated over the golden chain and across each colorful jewel, alive with energy. A flicker of emotion flashed across her face, as if something was stirring deep within at the sight of the necklace. Ismat then lifted the necklace from its velvet cradle and with sturdy hands he draped it gently around her neck. The piece settled just above her collarbone and sparkled with even the slightest movement. She released a small gasp as the necklace began to fill her with warmth. She raised a trembling hand to rest on the stones at her neck, the glimmer of a smile on her lips. The effects of the necklace were almost immediate, and her appearance began to transform right before their eyes. Her skin, once pale and nearly translucent, filled with warmth and life. A soft blush bloomed on her cheeks. Her once distant eyes, clouded with melancholy, now ignited with vibrance and energy, as the memories of her children overwhelmed her all at once. The memories were so powerful. It was as if she could feel their presence in the room and hear their laughter. Hassan and Ismat waited patiently as the woman appeared to be experiencing a kaleidoscope of emotion that washed over her, building her up piece by piece until she was whole again. Tears welled in her eyes and spilled down her rosy cheeks, but a full smile graced her lips, radiant and true. She pressed her hands to her chest, as if holding on to all of the emotions she had just experienced, and forever keeping the memories of her children in her heart. After a moment, she looked at her husband with tears of joy in her eyes, brimming with happiness. It was a look that he had not seen in a long time. She rose with a new lightness in her movements and embraced her loving husband. He held on to her tightly, a look of relief and gratitude gracing his features as he pressed a tender kiss to the top of her head. He too found himself overcome with emotion at seeing the love of his life, with her spirit restored. Their embrace lingered, a connection of true love and passion that rekindled a spark between them. Hassan stood quietly, so as not to interrupt their moment. He felt a profound sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. The necklace he labored to create had done more than restore this woman's spirit. It reignited her adoration for her husband, who stopped at nothing to help her. Their embrace ended, and the woman reached for her face with a trembling hand, wiping the tears that had streaked down her cheeks. She took a steadying breath to compose herself before unclasping the necklace from around her throat. She held it delicately in her hands for a long moment, her fingers lingering on the stones briefly, before gently laying it back in the box. The necklace had completed its purpose, and it was more than just a beautiful piece of jewelry. It was a vessel of happiness and hope, forever immortalizing the most precious memories of her children, and a reminder of her husband's devotion. An authentic smile graced her lips as she turned to Hassan and clasped his hands in hers, her eyes now clear and bright. Thank you for what you have done for me. In a way, it feels as though my children have returned to me. They will not be forgotten, and neither will this great deed you have done for us. Her voice was soft and filled with gratitude. Ismad, still brimming with emotion, went to a nearby desk, his hands shaking as he began to rummage through the drawers. He pulled out a small pouch that clinked as he set it on the desk. Please allow us to pay you something, he insisted. I have some savings left. Hassan cut him off by raising his hand and shaking his head. There is no need, he replied with a soft and steady voice. Witnessing the effects of the necklace to restore your love for one another is payment enough. Ismad was stunned yet again, as if he had never experienced such kindness and generosity from a stranger before. He insisted once more, but again Hassan refused. He looked at the woman, who smiled at him. A warm serenity now radiated from her, as she had found her inner peace. With a final nod, Hassan excused himself, making his way from the warmth of the home into the rainy streets. Despite the cold outside, Hassan was filled with the warmth from his experience, and his heart swelled with joy for the family. As he made his way back to the shop, he thought to create a piece of jewelry for himself to forever preserve the memory of the events of the day. He wanted to remember the transformation he had witnessed and the way Ismad went to great lengths to help his wife. It all filled him with a sense of purpose, gave meaning to his art, and reminded him why he did what he did. Entering his shop, Hassan took a moment to appreciate the work around him. His workbench sat waiting, his tools scattered about its surface, and uncut gemstones glinted faintly in the lamplight. He felt a renewed energy fill him, as he found a new appreciation for his craft, which was more than shaping stones and metals, but the act of breathing life into memories. With that thought, Hassan sat at his workstation, his hands eager to begin his next creation. The gift he had given the family had, in return, given him the gift of purpose and fulfillment that exceeded any amount of payment.